Hi, it's Wayne from How to Fish. Today I fished under some pretty difficult conditions. We'd had a lot of rain coming into the system. I was fishing an estuary, and with all the fresh water, the water colour was brown. So fish were locating their food by scent. So I did some things to actually get those fish locating my bait, and I finessed down so that I could catch them. I'll show you the gear that I used and what I did to catch what was a bag of bream. I was really quite surprised by how dirty the water was when I got there. Normally this water is clear, you can see through down into the shallows quite easily, but not today. So that was going to push some fish out of the system, I knew that. So I'd have to actually change tactics to be able to bring in some of those fish that can tolerate water with low salt content. If I was going to concentrate the burley, I had to cast accurately. So I picked out a building on the horizon and cast towards it, and that was going to be my marker every time. If I could keep that going, if I could cast to that every time, I'd concentrate the burley, concentrate the fish, create competition, and hopefully make the fish reckless enough to take my bait. I think I cast about 5 times to the same spot. And it was at that point that I started to get little nibbles and then finally was able to hook into this fish. I thought it might have been the only fish for the day, but at least I'd got something. And even though it was small, it was an indication that there were possibly others around. I'd taken a heavier rod with me, but it looked like with these small fish, it was the lighter gear that was going to make the difference. Very, very light 2 kilo spin rod, a running setup, small burley cage, down to a small hook. This is a size 10 hook. When I cast in, I don't wind in before I feel the weight hit the bottom. So I often lower the rod as I do here very gently and just feel down the weight until the line goes slack. Then I know it's on the bottom. The reason I do that is if I wind in, I do not want to move that burley cage from the target zone. So once I feel it's hit the bottom, then I put it in the rod rest and I'm ready to go. Now, despite appearances, I was not trying to cast over the top of this ferry. Anyway, I cast in, and now I've been casting in for a while. I was getting bites, I was getting small fish, and this is a true indication of how quickly you can get those fish. Here I'm just counting it down, so it hasn't hit bottom yet. Pretty deep water. I'm thinking it's probably about 8 meters where I was casting to. So once I feel it down, now I'm going to just tighten up, put it into the rod holder. And because now I have actually got burley there, I know that the fish are around. So just tighten up. And the moment that I tried to tighten up, I'm into a fish. The thing is that if you can get the burley going, and you will get the fish, if they're in the area, of course. But what it does do also is it stimulates them to feed as well. So at times when they may not be feeding that heavily, just the stimulation of burley in the water can cause them to take your bait. So here I had done that straight away. As soon as it hit bottom, the fish were waiting, and I just brought this one in. This was a reasonable size bream, so this was one of the size fish that I got on the day, and it was just great to see the whole plan in action when you come along and you can get a solid fish like this. Oh, but they're still there. That was just a bite, immediately. Immediately. Okay, so I've obviously got a shoal of fish in the area, so that is a good thing, and it really creates the fun. This is about as exciting as it gets when you actually know you've located them, you've got all your tackle set up properly, the right baits, and the fish are responding. Okay, so starting to get even bigger. That's better. It's not as good as the biggest one, okay, but still a good fish. It's funny, with the water this coloured, I wasn't sure the fishing would be any good because there was just so much silt in the water. But what's that has done is obviously the new water, fresh water coming in, even though it's not salt water, that fresh water coming in is what's causing that, has stimulated some bite in the fish. As the session went on, the more accurate my casting, the faster the bites would come. We got one. Oh, that's a bit better. Okay, so this one's slightly better. On a very, very light 2 kilo rod, with 2 kilo line, a small hook, everything feels like a much bigger fish. So all different sizes today, and this one's, well, he's not sized, but Not too bad, not too bad after all. Very bright and you probably can't see anything, but... And it's a better fish. It's a better fish. Okay, that's a better fish. There we go. That's a better fish. Ha ha. Whoops, there we go. That didn't take that long, did it? And I haven't really, well, I've struck into it now. Really important to strike into it because the fish can sometimes just be, especially something with like a bream or say a snapper that's got a bony mouth and teeth. If you don't strike into it, you're not setting the hook properly, and the moment that there's any slack in the line, the hook can drop out. That's great. Yeah, that's better. Whoops. That's a better fish. Okay, now we're talking. As the morning went on, the fish started to get smaller. I caught quite a few, but they were all undersized. So that's where I call it the end of the day. The rod that did all the work today was this very, very light 2 kilo spin rod. I think it was the natural presentation in the water, the very, very fine line. Fish couldn't detect anything, and therefore they were taking on this. If you've enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you're interested in any of the tackle, the gear that I use, go to my website, howtofish.com.au. See you next time.